jail solidarity trainings. And if you have any opinions or if you don't, I'd be happy to do a jail solidarity training with you. Dietary restrictions, health questions. If you are maybe if if there's any situation where people feel like they have special needs, or there's no feeling like the police or corrections officers are trying to divide you or treat you differently, if you decide how much solidarity you have to try to meet everybody's needs and be treated all the same. So if you're willing to do that, feel solidarity.
Literally means the court will take the file off the calendar for 6 months or a year, depending on the ACB. 6 months if it's like a protest case, it's a year if it's a family court or ACB case. But in 6 months, if you're not rearrested or given a summons within that period, you'll be automatically suspended too. If you are rearrested or given a summons, there's a possibility that the case you took the ACB on will be taken off the shelf where it's been put and put right back on the calendar. So you then end up with 2 cases. Does that always happen? No.
Never happened to me before.
Not what it does. Cafe, someone please.
There's one right there. That chair.
It does.
You're going to be out there 6 months, so knowing these little, penal codes, I know it sounds like knowing the alphabet of stigma, it's so important, about knowing.
The next one is, can you trust a state-appointed lawyer after the arrest? The Legal Aid Society and the public defenders, there are great lawyers there, and there are lawyers that were clearly buddy-buddy with the business attorneys. They have massive, both were good, sympathetic lawyers, and those who are not from the public defender's office or the Legal Aid Society. They have tremendous caseloads, so even if they're sympathetic, sometimes their advice, sometimes their advice has been harmful to me in the past, has been the bad advice because they simply wanted to get rid of their caseload because they have a massive amount of cases. So you can always ask for another lawyer, tell the court that your lawyer does not represent you, and you can always, it is your decision what happens in court. So a police officer or a lawyer is not allowed to make the decision for you in court. The lawyer may say something, and then the judge is usually going to ask you if that's what you agree to, and if you understand what that means. And if you don't agree to it, say no.
I've had some different experiences than you have with my comrades of legal aid and public defenders. I think the answer to the question would be absolutely yes. I'm not always satisfied with court-appointed attorneys' bedside manner or the amount of time and energy that they can devote to your particular case, but especially with a lot, too largely to that. But there's also a phenomenon that's happened to a certain extent, with influx of Occupy cases, where people who don't have, tend not to have had a lot of pre-Occupy contact with the criminal legal system, and many of whom tend to be more privileged than most of the other clients and public defenders have on the dockets, kind of want to take up more time and energy than almost any other clients, maybe in part because they have many more questions because they haven't had those experiences personally, know a lot of people maybe who have had those kinds of experiences or have had, I'm not sure, but the Legal Aid Society is a union shop. We have the first president of the Legal Aid Lawyers Union, I'm very proud to say, and I'm sure that the lawyers back in the day, I've been there once, it's always hit and miss. in any job, the kind of relationship you're going to end up having with the lawyer that you have. If you're not getting the kind of representation that you feel you need or that you're comfortable with, you can always ask for another lawyer. Whether or not you get appointed a different court-appointed lawyer, it is another question. But it certainly in most of my experience, if someone goes to a legal aid lawyer or their supervisor and says, this is just not working out, they'll assign another lawyer or they'll assign a different court-appointed lawyer. So just because the lawyer is court-appointed doesn't mean that they're not going to have your back, or they're not going to have your best interests in mind, especially if, what you're talking about is a first appearance or an arraignment. Legal aid lawyers and other public defenders who do work arraignment shifts several times a week, and many of whom had for many years, they know how to make a killer bail application. You want in that, in an arraignment situation, if bail is on the table, it's a killer bail application. And otherwise, there's not a lot of decisions that you're going to need to make at your arraignment. It's basically a matter of, am I getting out on my own recognizance? Am I getting out on bail? Then there's time, to deal with those things.
I love legal aid, and most of the lawyers are great. But, lawyers are kind of like doctors. I wish I had health insurance. Unfortunately, I don't. I have great legal counsel and but they're experts. They can do things I can't do that are incredibly important, wonderful people, incredibly beloved members of our society. They're also experts. Experts sometimes don't always, sometimes they have a massive amount of people that they have to support them to handle. And sometimes they're not always conscious. So just like in the healthcare system, things sometimes get dropped. A lot of people are in prison because they got those defendants or others who are less experienced, who have a lot more resources and want to usage. So trust and love your lawyer, but take it with a grain of salt and know that you have the right to make the final decision what happens. But I love lawyers. You have no idea.
Underfunded in a lot of ways. I was not as an individual thinking about those that I'm asking
Someone asked a question generally about what if you get arrested. Generally, if you get arrested and you are a non-citizen, that's something that you should let the lawyer, the first lawyer you see know as soon as possible. Because immigration law is incredibly complicated. The potential consequences of different offenses.
It's getting worse under Obama.
Not only is it getting worse under Obama, but it's only been a few weeks in New York that the Secure Communities Program has been fully active. And, people are right, yeah, like that. And, people are just beginning to get, a sense of what that's going to mean. So the bottom line is it's incredibly complicated. I wish I could give like a better, more comprehensive answer. The real answer is if you talk to a lawyer, be very direct and honest about what your situation is. In doing arraignment, of course, if your community just kicked in, there was or it got kicked in the way that it has been most recently. There's an extra investment in using a client who might have status issues out of Rikers, because it was really in Rikers where ICE showed up at that point in the process. But things have changed now, so it's even more important to talk earlier about this to somebody who knows their information.
In the question, there's one that says interrogation are you expected to sign or what are the consequences. There are only two things I've ever signed in custody. One, if it's inventory-less, sometimes take my inventory so that they don't miss it somewhere. I may sign or that's one place. And then the best appearance ticket, you should read anything that you sign. You should always read it. It's really, really important in custody, especially. But you're in the case of a test ticket, saying that you're going to come back to court. So I'm going to sign that so that I'm released. But I'm going to read it first to make sure that they're not going to instead. And I will never sign a statement during or after an interrogation. Guilt. There's nothing else that I will ever sign in custody. So, you know, if you're ever in Terry, if you ever want to sign anything from the depth of your ticket that you've read or an inventory list that you've read. If y'all want further training, we can take your contact info for jail solidarity for an actual like basic know your rights training for anything else like that. Feel free to sign up. And I mean shit, I've done them on late Friday night. I skipped parties today. So if you have a crew, let's get together.